Hello everyone, welcome to Bull Bear Cafe, April going into May. My name is Yasko, and I also like to thank you very much. I really appreciate all of you tuning in. Now let's continue from last month. I mentioned that currencies could get cut as well as transports and telecoms and chips, mobiles or wireless as well as telephone companies. So please look back to the Bull Bear Cafe going into April because this is a continuation. We're still dealing with the wireless, and in fact, Qualcomm and Apple uh, came out. We're still in April going into May. And I believe the Nintendo, even though that's games, but it's still part of tech. Uh, excuse me. Um, I posted my pictures of Notre Dame. That's me in the picture. I really miss Paris. That area around the cathedral is called Latin Quarter. It's mostly Algerian and other ethnic groups. Um, and I just wanted to put it out there because I think it's terrible it had to burn down. But in my Bull Bear Cafe crypto and money and tipping point, I started out by saying that you'll likely hear about explosions of old buildings or even monumental buildings being destroyed. The second week of April, a building in Durham, North Carolina exploded. Then the Notre Dame and monumental building caught on fire. So I have been watching China, and a chemical factory exploded and killed a lot of people. However, there's been many explosions there that are kind of strange, and I think I mentioned that before. So I'm going to be posting 2020 China too. Um, you really need to start following China because the techs in the U.S. markets will likely be rattled or moved by what happens in China. Okay. Just recently, Huawei offered to sell 5G chips to Apple. Many of you know already that SoftBank sold a lot of Nvidia stocks last December when the market turned bearish. And you might want to watch SoftBank's annual shareholder meeting. It's also it's a major stakeholder in Uber too, and that's the next IPO. So I always watch the annual shareholder meeting, but it's in Japanese. I think there is an English version too. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty well. I'm not sure because I've never listened to the English version. I usually listen to the Japanese version. So SoftBank owns ARM Holdings, chip of all chips for IoT. So it's one of the unicorns, absolutely necessary for driverless cars. So if you're a chip trader, you might want to watch it. You know they are, there's talks that the SoftBank is an investor in Huawei too. So I don't know where that stands right now. But there's a lot of things going on. And in China, it's a cashless society. They only use cells. But remember, Apple did drop their price. And that's because um, a lot of people there are now maxed out on their credit. But they are cutting consumer consumption tax, and that's, I guess, part of their stimulative measure for the economy. So keep an eye on them. Who is in the news today? And that's April 16. Apple versus Qualcomm. And I'm actually doing this on April 16th. They've been in dispute for a while. And Qualcomm is up over 15%, but Apple is down. Oh, I'm sorry, not down, but it's only up 1%. So Qualcomm is a chip maker for the telecoms. And I'm mentioning this because I mentioned telecom chips in that Bull Bear Cafe going into April. So, incidentally, just be careful on Monday, trading after hours. You can get about face the next morning, Tuesday 23rd. That's next week. And because on Tuesday morning, it could gap up. Just saying. This is not a stock or commodity advisor channel, so keep in mind, I'm not giving an advisory. I'm just stating that that could happen. This is an astrological predictions channel, so win or lose is again determined by your birth chart. But just keep in mind that it could gap higher Tuesday. So what we have for rest of the month of April is a no-win situation. Traders are too eagerly awaiting the China deal, but it's a bit early. A no-win means you are your own enemy. It feels like you are at the end of the road. At the end of the day, you haven't won. It could be a wash. So I don't see the deal happening yet. Yes, JP Morgan reported good earnings last Friday, but why did they announce job cuts last month? Why did Goldman Sachs? Here's the headline on CNBC on the 15th. Goldman Sachs CEO slashes pay for his employees as revenue drops. So, and that was announced on April 15th, CNBC. So, see, that's kind of like a wash. I mean, there's no win there. So, please refer back to the Bull Bear Cafe, Crypto, Money, and Tipping Point. That industry is undergoing revolutionary changes. Why do banks have to invest in derivatives? It's undergoing revolutionary changes. So many of them aren't in an environment where profit is good. So they have no other choice but to invest in high yield risky stuff. I think corporate, from what I see in my astrological chart, I think corporate debt could be a problem, but Pluto and Saturn retrogrades in April, so harm won't happen this month. That being said, I think U.S. banking industry is a lot healthier than others. Some attribute this to U.S. policies. U.S. wages are growing and GDP is also growing, and Fed has to worry about inflation. But commodities are not inflated. So stock market is inflated. That's Jupiter square Neptune. Where are the wireless and mobile companies really going? Right now, the second half of April is trying to work up to higher levels. The chips are the heart and soul of tech. I don't see problems there. Wireless, computer, electric utilities, auto manufacturing, telcos, and other manufacturing sectors are a different story. They are headed toward stabilization by next spring, meaning stabilizing. It's not, doesn't sound too bullish. So Intel dropped out of the 5G smartphone market this month or this week. Look what happened in Japan, and this is very, very important because this is very much a turning point, I think, for Brexit too. And in fact, I have a Brexit posting You may want to check that out too, because I'm going to be doing another one, a follow-up. You see, because as I said in that Brexit prediction, that it will go well after that what was it, Monday, that Theresa May submitted her her plan, and nothing was going to happen. But if she does it in the evening, things will go well. And of course, they did agree on something for now, but it's still basically a done deal. And look what happened in Japan, the third largest economy in the world. Look up NTT Docomo. It lowered mobile phone fees by 40%. 40%. That's a lot. That means they're not going to make money domestically. Because the government, why did they do it? Because government told them to do so. They put pressure on NTT to drop the price. So that's what happened in the wireless space. They all come down. So listen to the bull bear Brexit and the crypto money and tipping point. I posted that prediction on April 6, 2019. See, here, I'm reading from Financial Times article. NTT's telecom unit, NTT Docomo, competes with SoftBank and KDDI in Japan. But the NTT group also has an extensive international network of companies. These include NTT Communications, the second largest data center owner in the world, and Dimension Data, a large technology services company acquired in 2010. So where is the new international center going to be located? London. Remember, I mentioned in that Brexit video that UK is prepared. Of course, when I say prepared, I mean this is happening in the periphery, but this is an economic support. Remember, everybody says that, or media says that UK is gonna crumble, but they've got the base, the infrastructure. So what was all that confusion about? I think last minute touches on deals. So if this was announced recently or this week, that means they were dealing with this during all that Brexit confusion. That's just my opinion. I used an event chart for the UK, and I'm basing all these predictions on that chart. So look at the dates of my recording. This news just broke on April 16. I mentioned data mining in the bull bear crypto money tipping point in my April 6th prediction. So now let's get back to next month. Well, actually, we still have, I think, a couple of weeks to go this month in April. The retailing sector could be cut even after good earnings, but they could get picked up going into May. You saw that seesaw action this month, last month, coming into this month. Retailers of household items and online retailers should do well, and housing sector should also do well, like real estate related companies like Home Depot type. And I say type because I'm not saying specifically Home Depot, but in that same sector. Banks and online processors are in solid place. Again, commodities like copper, hogs, beans, wheat should do well. And energy is where the bulls are. WTI will bounce back with resilience should it get knocked down. It's about supply. Supply cuts can be expected, but somehow it will find a way to increase or get back to what is desirable. In other words, there's supply cuts, and then you hear about uh, um, over supply and things like that. I mean, that keeps coming up. What I mean is that this market is bullish. The market will easily get out of the worry mode to continue the bullish route going into May. I also like to mention that currencies, including Bitcoin or other cryptos and blockchain, should be looked at with a renewed perspective in May. This sector, or the coins, money, and banking, are stabilized and should do well this month, or at least trend well. I think chips will trend well. Not just straight up, but you saw how the market reacted or has been reacting. It's moving higher. The market has formed a bubble and could make outrageous moves. Somehow, chips could find a way out of any situation by bouncing back. Construction should also do well. Border wall, or that matter, what that wall is just starting to take shape. Deals are doable or looking good or on solid footing, and things seem to be solidifying with our neighbors. I think that what is that, USMCA or something like that, that old NAFTA, which is no longer NAFTA, but is being replaced with this new deal. Check back to the March predictions as well as the bull bear going into April. I said that there will be lots of moves for both bulls and bears, and indeed there were. They were very fast moving, unexpected moves, which delivered handsome profit for some. That is, if you were able to ride the wave. However, for every buy, there's a sell, and you don't trade with the same person. So every buyer and seller is going to be different. So somebody loses while somebody gains. So back to wireless and batteries and electricity and AI. What is as important as the chips in data mining? Energy. Cheaper, the better, and many people will benefit. Isn't that deflationary? Well, the president doesn't want Fed to raise rates. So commodity prices are falling. Just threw that in there. So he seems to know what he's doing. But I think he's trying to stabilize electricity so that we can move on to the 5G. US dollar is about to go higher. The currency status is changing. The wages or earnings are turning upward, or has already turned upward, but we just don't see it this in the beginning of the month. See, that area is now about to undergo a change, and actually is improving. And so this is why I say the focus on banks, coins, and of course cryptos, dollar, gaining, and housing. The market is bullish, or more bullish than bearish. It can get out of hurdles. So last month in April, I said that construction stock like Caterpillar will tumble along with steel. Okay, so this is what the headline reads. Caterpillar shares fall after Deutchbank downgrade. Synchronized global growth has collapsed. And that was published. This article is published on April 3rd. See, I keep track. After I do the predictions, I keep track. So anyway, all these along with the housing sector stock should move up. So overall, I think month of May will be bullish. And I also want to add that I think UK will be celebrating.